Hello, folks. Welcome in to the 15th episode of the Titans of Fantasy Football podcast. Today's episode, we're going to be going over players we're avoiding in every league and a fun little game of Fantasy FEUD, where I get to quiz Caleb on his knowledge of last year's top players. We're excited to, jump into it with you guys. Last episode, we covered our players we're going after in every league. So, now we get to hammer on the guys that we're avoiding who you should be skeptical of. And it's going to be interesting to see what we got here, but excited for you guys to tag along with us.
Exactly. Yeah, this will be a fun episode here. I was telling Garrett I was having a fun time, I guess, figuring out players I'm avoiding, because there's guys who I don't like, and then there's guys who I don't like for reasons. And it was kind of nice to narrow down those guys, especially, and surprisingly, all my guys are, I don't want to get too far into it, but you'll notice what I'm talking about. They're pretty big names. So.
Ooh, yeah. All right. Well, that's good, because then that usually means that they're guys that are drafted in every league, no matter your size. But with that note, we'll kind of jump into things. I'm going to start with our Fantasy FEUD game. So, Caleb, I'm going to quiz you on some top players from this past season. In 2021, there were 5 quarterbacks who threw for 4,800 yards or more. Who were they?
Oh, Jesus. So, I'm going to go with Tom Brady.
That's 1.
Justin Herbert.
That's 2.
Derek Carr.
That's 3.
Matt Stafford.
That's 4.
And I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know if he did it. Patrick Mahomes.
5 for 5 on the first one. All right.
I knew Derek Carr, you put it there as a sneaky one probably, but I knew he had a good.
Derek Carr was the sneaky one. All right, I love it. Nice work on the start. Well, we'll see if these get more challenging. In 2021, there were 4 running backs who ran for over 1,200 yards. Who were they?
Oh, God. Oh, Jonathan Taylor. Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook?
Yep. No? Oh. Okay. I don't think Eckler got there. Kamara didn't get there. Nick Chubb. I'm surprised about Cook. All right. Gotta dig deep here. Who were guys that were top doggers? I think, did Derrick Henry get there?
Derrick Henry did not.
I think
he finished with like 900 yards.
Okay.
In 9 games.
Oh boy.
Or 8 games.
God, I know I'm missing some too. Najee Harris.
Najee Harris is one.
Yep.
See on your rebuttal pick if you can get it.
My rebuttal pick. So I covered the name already?
No, you just got one wrong already. So
okay,
we'll count one minute.
All right. Oh, Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
All right, way to persevere. Good work, my man. Oh, that was pretty good. So 3 out of 4, pretty solid, and then scoops it with his last one. All right, this one's a little tougher.
Yeah, this is gonna be wide receivers.
Wide receivers. In 2021, there were 6 wide receivers who had over 160 targets. Who were they?
Cooper Kupp. Justin Jefferson. Devontae Adams. Wait, did you do Cooper Kupp?
Yep.
Okay.
3 for 3.
Keenan Allen.
Nope.
Shoot.
He was very close.
Moody wasn't there. Higgins wasn't there. Chase was just below it. I don't think he had 160. He just had a lot of catches. Or not a lot, catch a lot of yards. Did Tyreek Hill have 160 targets?
He did not.
Okay. Sorry, I know it should be more. Oh, Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yep. Mike Evans?
Nope.
This one's tough. It's probably some big names I'm just easily forgetting too. 160 targets at the wide receiver position. Okay. Brandon Cooks. Just trying to go through the top guys.
Nope.
These are two guys that I'm going to be pissed too because they're going to be so easy.
You are going to be pissed because you own one in Dynasty.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. And I own the other one.
Oh, Dionte Johnson?
Dionte Johnson.
I was thinking Dionte too. I was like, nah, he didn't get that.
160 targets is a monster haul. So 6 players to get that much is actually quite a few.
What was Keenan Allen at?
I think he was at 159. Let me double check that so I'm not talking completely out of my butt here. But I'm pretty sure it was 159.
I was because he's been a target hog his whole life, or his whole career.
157.
Okay. Oof.
That was the second most he's ever had. All right, so my last one here. In 2021, there were 4 tight ends who scored 9 touchdowns. Who were they?
Dawson Knox.
I thought that was the one who would get you.
Oh, no, I knew that one. That's all he did. I should say that. But Travis Kelce. Dalton Schultz. Hits? No. Kelce. Ertz? Oh, my gosh. I'm struggling.
Oh, this I thought was the easiest one.
Waller didn't get there. Did Waller get there? He got there, didn't he? No. Okay.
But maybe the guy who finished as the tight end 1 did.
Kelce didn't finish as tight end 1? Oh, Mark Andrews. Oh, my God.
It's tough when you're put on the spot.
Ooh.
And then there's one left. We covered him in our divisional breakdown.
Okay, I'm Goddard.
Hunter Henry.
Oh! I would never have got that one. I was actually thinking Pat Fryermuth because he had a lot of touchdowns.
He was close.
He was probably at 8.
I think he had 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not have got the Hunter Henry one. I should have, but I did not. Dawson Knox, I know. I think he had 10 touchdowns.
Henry was all touchdowns last year, which those guys all scored 9. Nobody scored more than 9, which kind of is rare for the tight end position. Usually there's somebody who jumps off like
Robert Tonyan.
Robert Tonyan, exactly. Just like that. Might not be the best guy, but all of a sudden just becomes a red zone target for a season. All right. Well, that's all fun and games, but let's jump into the real stuff here. Caleb, hit me with your number 1 player you want to avoid this season.
So this is not a player I'm avoiding this season. This player I've avoided my entire year time he's been in here.
Ooh.
And it's J.K. Dobbins. So I talked about him. He was my avoid when we did divisional breakdown, and for a good reason, I think. His ECR ranking is of 24 at the running back spot, ADP of 23, 50 overall. So you're getting him as an RB2 mainly right now, the back end of the RB2. He's coming off a torn ACL, which was right at the start, like right before the season started last year. It was like right before the last preseason game. Like
5 minutes after I drafted him.
Yeah. And he does seem like he's recovered. There's been, he himself wants to play. He's trying to practice and all that stuff. He's trying to sneak out there, but they're not letting him. They're working him back slowly. But even if he does, we haven't heard a good report of Gus Edwards, which is, I guess, not the best. But I think Edwards will be back not too deep into the season. I think he'll be back eventually pretty quick. But it's a crowded backfield. Always has been the Ravens. Ravens are kind of like the 49ers in a way. They got a lot of guys who are relevant. None of them are superstars usually, though. Elijah Mitchell was last year, different subject. But when Gus Edwards is there, I talked about it before. 3 seasons Gus Edwards has played full. He's had 700 yards, like almost exactly. It's like 750. Like they've all been right there, consistent. He is that way. He's gonna be that way. He also has the same injury, same day as J.K. Dobbins. So that sucks, but it is what it is. But they go out and they bring in Mike Davis. Mike Davis seemed like it was just a whatever type deal, like somebody just to bring in healthy body. They drafted Tyler Batty, also a guy who was getting some hype, really good in college, got some hype coming in the draft, went late in the draft, more of a gadget type player. Comes out of camp here, and they're saying how, yes, Mike Davis went the 5th round last year, was a bust in a lot of leagues, but he's coming out of the draft, or coming out of camp, and everybody's saying he's looking good. Like, Mike Davis is going to be good. So that worries me right away and I shouldn't be too worried about it, but regardless, I think this is going to be our running back by committee. Always has been the Ravens with John Harbaugh. They've had some good running backs, but they've always allowed to give the touches more they want us to disperse touches a little more. And secondly, their quarterback is one of them. Yes, Lamar gets the jokes about how he's running back, but he also runs the ball a lot and averages right around 1,000 yards a season. And there's a good reason for it because he runs the ball a lot. And so Dobbins doesn't bring much upside besides the fact that he got a lot of touchdowns his rookie year and he had a lot of yards per carry. But I went back and looked. I'm like, gosh, did Dobbins catch the ball much? Because I can't remember who was there. I know Gus Edwards was there his rookie season, but wasn't Mark Ingram as well?
Yep.
And so I want to see Dobbins, out of all those guys, should have been the receiving back. He only had 18 receptions in 2020. Tyler Batty is more than likely going to fill that role if he makes the roster as a receiving gadget type guy. I don't think Dobbins doesn't seem to have much receiving upside. That should have been the year when he got that. And last year we obviously don't know what would have happened, but I don't like him. There's other guys around him that I like that have higher upside and who are more likely they're RB1 in that role. Like Breece Hall is right there at that same draft area. Tyler Etienne is right around that, or Travis Etienne is right around that same draft area. Both those guys have PPR value. They should be pass catchers too, and they should be the only top-notch RB or running back. James Robinson we don't really know about for Travis Etienne, but Dobbins is kind of handcuffed and limited by the fact that they spread the ball out so much in their backfield.
Mm-hmm. And Dobbins, he clipped off at a good yards per carry, and he was the red zone back in that offense. But clearly this is a situation where his injury is not 100% yet, or else he would have open camp and been good to go right away. He might be, good to go week 1, but that doesn't mean he's 100%. And still there's a lot of clouded information as to his availability. I also wanted to make him an avoid player if it weren't for my first avoid. Which is the quarterback in that offense.
Oh.
Lamar Jackson right now is going at the ADP of 51, quarterback 4. So I didn't want to double dip same offense. He's going as the quarterback 4, yet last season he finished as the QB 15, and the season before he finished as the QB 10. Yeah, 3 years ago he finished as the QB 1. But like Caleb said, that running back room is suspect. There are a clear lack of options in the receiving game. With Hollywood Brown getting shipped out, there are 0 proven receiving targets outside of Mark Andrews there.
Yeah.
And the top target other than Andrews is Rashad Bateman, who barely cracked 500 yards last year.
Yeah.
The year he was number 1, he managed to somehow poke out 36 passing touchdowns while being the lowest volume passing quarterback in the league that season. Since then, he's thrown 26 touchdowns and 16 touchdowns. So clearly regressing in the passing category. Right now, you're paying a premium price for what he did 3 years ago for a guy who still has a lot of risk. And if we want to sit and look through the rest of the quarterbacks that also run the ball and pass, you're getting guys who have much higher passing volume, who have much better receiving rooms, and you just have a lot safer floor. So right now, Lamar Jackson, yes, he is a great rushing quarterback, but you are carrying a ton of risk with that QB4 upside because at ADP 51, there are a ton of good other players out there in the running back and wide receiver category, and you could wait to get a quarterback that's a lot safer with the same upside. Well, I mean, Lamar Jackson's upside when he's on is extremely high level. He can be the QB1. We've seen him do it. But there are other quarterbacks who have really good upside who are much, much, much safer that I personally would draft way. I would select them in lieu of Jackson that early.
Yeah. Yeah, like your guy you talked about in the last episode when we covered players you're drafting or targeting each draft, Russell Wilson is almost six positions in the quarterback ranking behind him, but almost 30 picks later. Mm-hmm. And Russell Wilson, like we said, has had 1 or 2 seasons he's finished outside the top 10. So, I mean, this is that spot where in the court when you're going in your draft, I mean, it's not really necessary to take a quarterback that high when there's other very skilled positions right around them.
Yeah.
So
and you also, like, right in the same area, there's Jalen Hurts and there's Kyler Murray, who are the other 2 running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Those guys are both much better passers, and they have much better receiving options in their room.
That's true. They both have a lot better receiving there. Yeah. A lot better wide receivers. All right. Covering wide receiver and talking about Russell Wilson, we'll get into my next guy. And I feel like I'm kind of out on an island on this guy. I drafted him last year, and he really disappointed. Might have been quarterback play, but he's just bad taste in my mouth. And I really don't get the whole big hype around him right now that is building. And I mean, I guess I can see some of it, but I think it's too much. And it is Cortland Sutton. ECR ranking of 19 right now. ADP of 26 at the wide receiver. So his ADP reflects a little bit better than his ECR ranking does, but his overall is at 65. But I expect his ADP, this is like we're talking about home draft leagues, I expect his ADP to rise. Because now that Tim Patrick's injuries, number 1. But number 2 is all these guys who are like, yes, Russell Wilson's there. I remember Cortland Sutton in 2020 or 2019 when he balled out, like that type deal. And I think it's going to be one of those reasons, like everybody's like, yep, Cortland Sutton, blah, blah, blah. Well, right now, both Broncos wide receivers are going back-to-back, actually. ADP of 26, 27. Jerry Judy's 27. So the biggest factor I have right now is we don't know who the wide receiver 1 right now is at offense. Everybody's assuming it's going to be Cortland Sutton. We're seeing in camp more connections actually better with Jerry Judy. Cortland Sutton was the bigger playmaker in 2019. Judy hasn't really balled out yet, you can say. But Judy's a better route runner than Cortland Sutton, and he's faster than Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's a bigger body, more of a possession receiver. But last year, Cortland Sutton was healthy through the whole season. Jerry Judy had that injury. Cortland Sutton had a couple good weeks there when Jerry Judy was out. But when Jerry Judy returned, he out-targeted Sutton big time. Actually made Sutton almost kind of like irrelevant in fantasy when he returned. Like I said, quarterback play was horrible. But that's something to notice there because Judy obviously was getting open more. That's probably the fact why he's getting targeted more. And I feel like Russell Wilson is going to hit that guy. Russell Wilson likes to hit that deep bomb a lot of times. I think Judy's got a better fact of catching that than Cortland Sutton will. Might be KJ Hamler.
Yeah.
Which is, he's made that burner guy. But out of those 2, I would say Judy gets more of the deep balls than Cortland Sutton does. Cortland Sutton might be more of a red zone threat, but there's just a lot of guys there who I like around him right now who are wide receiver 1s, true wide receiver 1s on their team. Like I said, it brings the elevation up when you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson in there, but I don't really know. Just some guys around that area around him are Darnell Mooney, Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper. All those guys are, like I said, true wide receiver 1s who don't have any behind them right now. They're target hogs. Where, like I said, it's just the biggest thing for me is that we don't know right now. So
Yeah. I mean, Amari Cooper scares the crap out of me this year, but I hear
without Deshaun,
I
does.
hear what you're saying about
Yeah.
Sutton, because it is a situation where we're all assuming, because that's what you kind of have to do. Like, you have a new quarterback in town, and you have to assume that these targets are going to get dispersed, and he's going to replicate some level of volume that he has in the past. Now, like Caleb said here, like, we don't know yet if it's going to be Sutton or Judy, and Judy's kind of had a rough start to his career. He was well touted, great route runner. Sutton, kind of a has-been. He had one pop-off season, but has been injured, and then just like last year, he couldn't break through with Drew Lock at his quarterback. You're kind of paying a risky price for a lot of, it's a guessing game at this point.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to jump into a situation where we've got a guy in an offense who's missing practice. He's a running back going at ADP 76, running back 29. Deshaun Watson is likely suspended a minimum of 6 games, could be much longer, and Jacoby Brissett, who is an extremely low volume passer, is now in at QB. Kareem Hunt, who several years back in 2020 finished as the RB10 on the back of 10 touchdowns. He's unlikely to see those touchdowns, and he's unlikely to see many dump-offs, which I think is what everybody was hoping for when he was going into the season with Watson. Right now, he's holding out in whatever you want to call it. He's not practicing. He's at practice, but he's just doing individual drills. He's requested a trade, and he's trying to get a contract because he's due $6 million this year, but it's all not guaranteed. And with all that information, he's likely to get off to a rough start this year. They have one of the best pure runners in the league in Nick Chubb. They have the emergence of Dionte Johnson last year, who looked phenomenal. And now Kareem Hunt is really, you have an offense that isn't likely to move the ball very well in the passing game for the first 6 weeks, at least, until Watson comes back. And if Watson's out the whole season, all of a sudden you're left holding a dead asset that likely isn't going to be very sexy throughout the whole season. So Kareem Hunt, where he's going ADP 76, RB 29, there are too many other good players around there still in this draft where your upside is limited, and you're going to be off to a tough start of your season, and you're going to kind of be scrambling halfway through the year. I don't like Kareem Hunt this year.
I'm plead the fifth here on this one. I am a little bit opposite of you, like I said. It's kind of interesting. I get your takes. I like your reasoning behind it all, but Kareem Hunt is just one of those talented guys, like you said. But Jacoby Brissett definitely, if Brissett is starting quarterback, which it seems like is very likely, does cap him a little bit. So cap
it's
quite
scary.
A bit. Yeah, that offense is totally scary. I mean, Nick Chubb will likely be the only similar asset in that offense with Brissett at quarterback compared to Watson / Baker, because like you said, Nick Chubb is a pure runner. Has been, does not catch the ball, and that offensive line is probably top 3 in the league, I would say, up there. So I get your reasonings. So this guy, the next guy I'm fading, not avoiding in all drafts, or trying not to avoid at all drafts. There's obviously value when value is given, but I feel like a lot of people are on the same train as I am on this one, and it's Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has been a top 10 finisher, I feel like, for the past 4 years with Patrick Mahomes. Wanted to get this big contract this year. They wouldn't give it to him, at least not what he was wanting. Gets to Miami, gets paid the highest wide receiver in the NFL. That's a lot of draft capital Miami gave up to get him. But there's some reasonings that's why I'm fading him because of that. His ECR ranking is 9 for wide receivers. ADP is 8, overall 19. So you're getting him at mid-second round for the most part. Going from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa is a huge downgrade. I don't care. Tua's getting a lot of hype, based around him. And rightfully so, he's got the weapons, he's got the line. But, you go from probably the number 1 to 2, I would say, top 3 quarterback in the league, to a guy who finished below the top 20 last year. I don't care. You're going to see a huge fantasy chunk knocked off for the most part. And he goes from a team who Travis Kelce was a number 2 option in that office, very good number 2. But he goes to a team whose number 2 option is an up-and-coming wide receiver who was 140 targets last year, peppered with targets, finished as one of the top 10 wide receivers as well, in Jalen Waddle. So now you got 2 wide receivers battling for these targets. And Tyreek Hill's main thing has been catching these bomb passes, breaking a big one here and there. I'm on the same bandwagons that say Tua's not that guy to chuck it deep, hit him on those deep throws. Tua is one of the worst deep completion throws in the league last year. So that to me alone is like, okay, that you take him down on that level. Is he going to get all those slants? Yeah, maybe. But also so is Jalen Waddle. I mean, I don't think Waddle's going to be any bit more unused than he was last year. And this offense, I feel like the weapons around them are better than what the Chiefs had last year. Chiefs number 2 was Byron Pringle and McCole Hardman. We talked about it before. Not that good. Besides Travis Kelce. It was Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Only options. Now he goes in the Dolphins, who have Jalen Waddle, who had a lot of targets last year. Mike Gesicki had a lot of targets last year. Didn't turn into much, but he had a lot of targets from the tight end position. And then they spend big money on another wide receiver that nobody's really talking about, and Cedric Wilson, who is also a bomb threat guy from the Cowboys. 3-year, $21 million contract for Wilson. So to see Hill go right now at that, you're grabbing him as your wide receiver 1 more than likely, but he's kind of a question mark in the fact, yes, he's super athletic, super freak. He keeps raving up Tua. Not a whole lot of people are raving up Tua. He does, comparing Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer type deal. Like that's what he said about how Tua is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. Come on now. Patrick Mahomes is a top generational talent. So that alone, but you're grabbing Tyreek Hill right now around guys like CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, guys who more than likely are going to finish in that top 10 again or right around there. Stephon Diggs. I mean, I don't know, Garrett. I'm not liking him where he's at right now, and I'm not liking how he went to Miami. I think it's a big downgrade for him in fantasy.
Yeah, in every draft that he comes up on the queue, I've passed on him in lieu of other players, just like you said. It's a little scary given his situation and moving to a less talented passer for sure. I always feel like if you have a guy like that who's sitting there running his mouth trying to defend his quarterback, if he's talking that much, that means that he couldn't just let him show it on the field.
Yeah.
If his talent spoke for itself, he wouldn't need to do that.
No.
So
my thought process behind this all was I'm passing Tyreek Hill in the second round and grabbing Jalen Waddle in the second. That's why or the fourth, 2 rounds later. I like Waddle. So, yeah.
I agree with you, too. It's like that you have 2 guys there who could equally finish in the same area by the end.
Yeah, might not get the cheaper one.
Yeah. All right, so my next guy is a wide receiver as well. He's a guy who I've been high on since he came into the league, and I was excited for him as a rookie. He had pretty much an identical season last year, minus the touchdowns as rookie season. But Chase Claypool right now is going as the ADP 110, the wide receiver 44. So not super high in your leagues right now. But currently he's not practicing. He's got a shoulder injury. He's kind of seen some nagging injuries throughout the stretch of his career so far. Dionte Johnson just signed his deal. We were waiting to see what happened with that situation. So he signs his deal. he's back at camp, and Dionte has been the target hog in this offense for several years now. He's been the breakout stud.
Since Antonio Brown left.
Yep. They also have Najee Harris, who had pretty much a big amount of targets last year for a running back. All we're hearing out of camp is this continued good news about George Pickens, the second-round receiver. They also used a fourth-round pick on another guy with speedy skills out there. It's like all you're hearing is good news about every player out there but Chase Claypool.
Yep.
I feel like he's a freak athlete, and I still think he could be really talented and stay in the league a long time and be a good fantasy asset. But right now, where he's at, it's not like you're paying a lot. But I just don't feel like with that questionable quarterback situation, whether it's Kenny Pickett, whether it's Mitch Trubisky, those guys aren't going to be able to sustain 1, 2, 3, 4, a tight end, all those different receiving options. So Chase Claypool, where he's going, it's like, man, I don't even see the upside right now. I don't feel like he can go and finish as a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. He's just a struggling player in a struggling, battling for the third option on a bad passing offense.
Mm-hmm.
Not really a situation I want to dip my toes in, and a guy I'm pretty much avoiding in all drafts, even though I've liked him for years.
So here's a stat I want to talk to you about Chase Claypool, because I am totally on your side. Like I said, I like George Pickens this year. Or not this year. I like George Pickens, I guess more and more this year, but I like him definitely down the road. Chase Claypool, Garrett, has scored, he's been a decent pretty good fantasy relevant wide receiver. Wide receiver 37 finish 2021, wide receiver 24 finish in 2020. He has scored 11% of his points in one game. That is concerning. And he has been more of a boomer bust guy. But 11% of his points came as a rookie, week 5, against Philadelphia. He had 110 yards receiving on 7 catches. He had 3 touchdowns, and he had a couple rushing yards. So, very concerning for a guy that, like I said, 11% of his total points in all fantasy in the past 2 years came from one game. So,
yeah. And it's like they do like to get him involved in different ways in the offense, but man, it's a tough sledding hill for him to get fantasy relevant this year.
Yep. Okay, my last guy, and this one kind of hurt because I've liked him the past couple of years, and I do think he's still a very good player, very good talent-wise, very good at the position-wise, but it's Darren Waller.
Oh my God.
His ECR ranking is 5 right now. His ADP is 5, and his overall is 46. And why don't we work this one together? Because I got a feeling that's your last guy.
Yeah, that's my last guy.
Okay, so we're going to do this one together. Like Garrett and I said last episode, we have not compared notes on these ones, guys. These are. That's why you said Garrett. Oh my God! Last time I was Daryl Henderson. I was like, come on. And so we're gonna go side by side, Garrett. I'm gonna go my bullet point first, then yours. Okay, we're gonna do that.
All right.
So my top reason why I'm fading him is he is not the number 1 target anymore in this offense. Last year, game 1, 19 targets he got. We talked about that. Ridiculous. They add Davante Adams, Hunter Renfro's breakout. Targets are likely to decrease, and in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
My next one, new offense, new coach. So whatever ties they had to him might not be the case anymore. So, like you said, Davante Adams coming to town. Hunter Renfrow showed up last year.
Got money.
That money. I'm just going to say those 2 guys alone, I feel like they have already earned their roles. Davante Adams is too darn good, and Hunter Renfrow was too good last year.
Yep.
To really step out of the way for Waller.
So, my next point, same reasoning behind your Lamar Jackson. Like how you didn't want him where he's at. Waller, like I said, 5th tight end overall, top 50 picks, 46 overall. The reason I said I knew why Ertz's ADP was 96 is because I like better options later. who I think could finish right around the same area and who did finish above him last year. So that's important to look at too. Dalton Schultz, 2 rounds later, 14 picks is their ADP spacing. He finished as a tight end 3 last year in fantasy football. Like I mentioned about Jalen Tolbert in my last episode, how I was liking him because of that same reasoning, how there's not many offensive weapons right now, so he's the number 2. Dalton Schultz will be the number 2 option more likely in that offense, and you're getting him way cheaper, or not way cheaper, but quite a bit cheaper than Darren Waller. Now this guy you're getting way cheaper than Darren Waller, and that's Zach Ertz. ADP of 86, 48 picks difference, so almost 5 rounds difference. And like Garrett said, he finished as a tight end 5 last year, so he's going at that same value as what you're drafting Darren Waller at right now. And like Garrett said in his last episode when he was talking about guys he wanted to draft, Zach Ertz was that guy about how he wanted to draft him because Zach Ertz is going to get targets. There's a lot of vacant targets in there. Darren Waller, there's not a lot of vacant targets. Only vacant targets, I guess you can say, are Zay Jones's when he left. But Adams has got to absorb a lot of them.
Adams is going to take pieces of that pie, and it's going to come from people who have existed on that offense before.
Yes.
Last year, Waller only played 10 games. In those 10 games, at 55 catches, 665 yards. I mean, I guess those are okay stats, but when you add Adams to town, you like take 75% of that and extrapolate it across the season. Right now, you're paying kind of ceiling price for Waller. That's what I feel like with him. So, he might be able to finish the year out as wide receiver 5. I don't think he's going to be that 19 target a game potential kind of guy. There might be a game or two next season that he gets between 10 and 15 targets, and you're like, okay, wow, that was a nice Waller game. But I think the percent chance of that even happening is much, much lower than it was. And now you're stuck paying this premium price for a guy who didn't do it last year. He, showed up the year before, but there are so many good tight ends going right after him. Like you said, it's just, would you rather wait when around Darren Waller you can go and take some studs?
Yeah, and you can get some top tier wide receivers and running backs at that range. Like I said, his 46 right now is what he's going around. You can get DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Mike Williams, who you talked about in the last episode. George Kittle is even before him, and I think George Kittle has a lot higher ceiling than him right now. We're talking about for tight ends because of the fact of he's not going to be battling for all those targets like Waller's going to be. But I don't know. It's definitely it's not. I guess reason why I'm avoiding him is it's not a rip on his talent, not a rip on Darren Waller as a player. He's a very good tight end. It's a rip on value and the guys that you can get later. It's too high. And quite frankly, like I said, there's value at every spot. There's value when given. But right now where he's given is for a guy who has Devontae Adams. I mean, yes, we're Packer fans. But you see when you get a player like Devontae Adams in there, he gets those targets. He gets peppered with them. Hunter Renfrow got peppered with targets last year and touchdowns. Hunter Renfrow had almost double-digit touchdowns. If not, I think he might have had double-digit touchdowns. So that's something to look at there, too, is Waller ages. Those two are kind of creeping up in the target share.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. When you go to a store and you go to buy a brand new shirt, if you find exactly what you're looking for on the clearance rack for half off, wouldn't you rather get that than pay full price?
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's what you're doing right now with Waller. You're paying full price.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Hunter Renfrow had 130 targets last year, 9 touchdowns. That's what I want to revert back to, but that's definitely no shy numbers there. So
yeah. So between him and Adams, you're probably looking at 280 targets, which is a huge, huge chunk of the target share.
And like you said, he just battled nagging injuries last year. That was my third bullet point. Adam was battling nagging injuries, and we haven't heard. That's one thing too. We haven't heard anything about Waller. He's trying to get a contract extension right now, but we haven't heard any camp news about him. Is he healed? Is he recovered? Is he practicing? You hear about how good Adams has looked with Carr. You hear how good about Renfro got paid. He's looking like he's going to be the same guy. You just haven't heard a whole lot about how Waller's back to healthy. He's looking good. That's concerning.
Yeah.
As the season goes on and camp develops, maybe we'll hear more. But for right now,
yeah, tough sledding there for Waller, but definitely a guy we're looking to look over right now.
Yeah,
pass over him.
All right.
Well, unfortunately, we're one short because we doubled down on old Waller. But that was another exciting recap. It's nice to jump through these guys who, one way or the other, whether the guys we're targeting or guys we're avoiding. It's exciting to get that breakdown in and show you guys what the reasoning behind why these guys are trending up or trending down. But next episode we have after this one is going to be one of our most exciting. We are chomping at the bit to release this one. It is our sleepers episode. So these are all going to be guys we've drawn a hard line. So all of these sleepers are going after ADP 100. So more of your deep sleepers. These aren't going to be your 5th, 6th round kind of guys. A little bit later after pick 100.
Yes. And I will say with Garrett and I, we've talked about it in our divisional breakdowns. We had some really deep sleepers in our divisional breakdowns. Garrett and I have, like I said, we played in a lot of leagues together. We've been in leagues together for years. Me and him are both thinkers, and we love deep sleepers. And we both have had sleepers, these deep guys who, if you hit, they can really advance your team, really help you out. But if they don't hit, usually it's not that big of a deal. Usually it's not. It's all about, like we've talked about, you like these guys later on, and they might help you. If they don't, it's not a big loss.
Cut them loose, let them go.
Yep.
Grab their waiver guy.
But yeah, I am pumped. I love deep sleepers, or talking about sleepers in general. So the next episode I am really excited for. This episode and the last episode we covered about how players we were drafting and avoiding, though, I was really happy to talk about this. I really liked it. Good content. And it was really cool kind of see how Garrett and I both in each episode hit on a player we liked and a player we're avoiding. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, but all right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and jump with us next time as we go through one of our favorite topics. We'll see you next time.